All right, man, peace. You know, as most of you brothers know, the NBA is entertainment, and it has to be evaluated as an entertainment league. And for that reason, many years ago, I was having a conversation with my father about basketball, and I told him after LeBron James won his last MVP in 2013, and then Durant won his first MVP and thus far only MVP in 2014, that the NBA would never give LeBron James another MVP unless he had just an unbelievably stellar season above everyone else, because it behooved the NBA to start to market many of their upcoming young stars. And fortunately for the NBA, there have been many young stars that not only won the MVP other than LeBron James, but every year they deserve the MVP over LeBron James, despite the narrative that is pushed by many of the woke members of the liberal sports media who try to claim that LeBron has been robbed of MVPs here and there. The fact of the matter is that everyone who's won the MVP since LeBron James won his last one in 2013 deserved it. Durant deserved it in 2014. Curry deserved it in 2015. Curry definitely deserved it in 2016. Russell Westbrook, he deserved it in 2017. And Harden deserved it last year. Now, I probably would have given it to Harden for the last 2 years, but I have no real problem with Westbrook getting it because he averaged a triple-double. It was the first time that had been done since Oscar Robertson in the early 60s. So point being is this. Right now we're coming into the new NBA season, the 2018-19 season, and all the narratives have been put in place for LeBron James to get the MVP. The NBA wants LeBron James to get the MVP, but I think that his overall play has depreciated to the point where even with the narratives, they're not going to be able to really give him the MVP. It's not going to be as feasible as they would like it to be. I think that Anthony Davis, barring injury, is going to get this year's Most Valuable Player award. So anyway, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
The NBA is James Harden. That's an easy choice.
Man, that step back three, so deadly.
He put him on the deck. Oh, he stared at Wesley Johnson, and then he hit the three.
What a night for the beard! Now that is what an MVP does. The NBA.
And once again, the MVP is for the player who's had the best individual season on a team that has had a great year. That's all it's ever been. And that's why it's always been dominated by the best player in the NBA. Normally Jordan, Bird, Magic Johnson. Now every once in a while you'll have a player whose stats are so exemplary that he has to get the award, like Jordan in '88, when he averaged 35 a game and shot 54% from the field. Led the league in steals, was Defensive Player of the Year, had 200 steals, 100 blocks. He had to get it. Westbrook, a couple of years ago, his team only won 40-some-odd games, but he averaged a triple-double. Now, you have certain people who feel like Kobe should have won it in 2006. He didn't get it. They gave it to Steve Nash, but Steve Nash's team was so much better than Kobe's. It's far more understandable why that happened. Once again, I would not have even given it to Westbrook in 2017. I would have given it to Harden because I can't give the MVP award to a player whose team did not even win 50 games. But in that case, with him averaging over 30 points a game and a triple-double, that's more understandable. Now, when we come to this current time period, I just don't see how LeBron James is going to be able to swing this. I don't see it because he's not even getting off to a great start so far this season. But we'll see. Maybe he'll heat up and he'll just put forth one of those unbelievable Herculean efforts that he's known for, that, or at least the Herculean effort that he put forth in last year's playoffs. But I mean, let's be for real. For the most part, LeBron James's teams have underwhelmed in the regular season. I'm trying to remember how many 60-win teams he's been on over the course of his career. I think he's had 2 in his first run with the Cavaliers, and he had 1 in Miami. So it's going to be difficult for him to really be able to substantiate an MVP this year unless, once again, he just has off-the-charts offensive numbers.
NBA's most valuable player, James Harden.
James Harden won MVP last season, but he's got serious competition in his quest to go back-to-back. At 4-1, Bron and Anthony.
Now look at these odds. Both LeBron James and Anthony Davis are 4-1. Giannis Antetokounmpo is 9-2. James Harden is 9-2. So basically they're 4.5-1. So they're right behind LeBron and Anthony Davis. Kawhi Leonard 7-1. I would not have Giannis that high. for the simple fact that even though he's going to be a stat stuffer, I don't think that his team is going to win more than 45 games. Anthony Davis, I think that his team, for what I've seen, I think that they're going to win 50 or more games, and I think that he's going to win the MVP. Just the fact that he's tied with LeBron coming into the season shows you that they expect him to have the best year because they want LeBron to win it so bad.
And Anthony Davis are favored to win it this year, according to handicapper William Hill. Max Kell.
Yeah.
Who wins MVP this season?
Anthony Davis, and I'm surprised that that he is tied with LeBron for odds-on favorite. Look, LeBron James is going to be blamed in a way for the fact that I believe the Lakers' wins total at the end of the season is going to be lower than anticipated.
I agree with that to a degree.
I think 48 is actually kind of a high water mark for them.
So what are you predicting, like 45?
Yeah, 46 to 48 wins, something in there, I think.
I have them somewhere around that same area. I could see them as low as 47. I could see them even as high as 52 if LeBron James just decides to take over the team or if they're able to pull off a major trade. But the problem is right now there's going to be a conflict of interest because the Lakers are expected to try to get Anthony Davis, and Anthony Davis and LeBron are going to be competing for the MVP. So presumably, if Anthony Davis stays healthy and the Pelicans are playing well enough, they're not going to trade him and he's not going to want to be moved. So how is he going to be able to help LeBron James? That means that LeBron's going to have to hog the ball to himself and try to get his numbers to get the MVP award. Because to me, to be honest, this is going to be LeBron's last season where he's going to be a viable candidate for the MVP. Maybe next season. But it wouldn't shock me if you see a downturn in his play next year. Already he has to seriously pace himself over the course of a game.
LeBron will take some, not criticism, but won't get as much credit as maybe he would normally get.
Okay.
In the meantime...
I doubt that. I think that you and Nick Wright and Colin Cowherd, you'll find a way to give him credit. And Shannon Sharp wants to give him credit for solving world hunger.
Anthony Davis is not only on a slightly lesser team than he was last year, meaning he's going to have to do a little bit more.
No, actually, so far this year, his team has looked better than they have last season.
But he knows, like, he just hired Rich Paul. There's all this chatter about him. He's entering his age 25 season. He's in his prime. He's likely to leave New Orleans, right? He has a...
People keep saying he's likely to leave New Orleans. Anthony Davis has 3 more years left on his contract. So he's not going anywhere unless the NBA tells New Orleans to trade him.
Statement year to make. Now, it's tough to make a statement more than he's already made when his average is 28 points and among league leaders in PER as the best defensive player in the game. How much better can you do? But if he goes 28 to 30 points a game, 10 to 12 rebounds, which is all likely, 2 to 3 blocks, it leads the league in PER or is something close to it, wins Defensive Player of the Year or is top 2 or 3 in the league, and his team wins a playoff series, he's going to get more credit than LeBron, who they've surrounded.
Right, but Max Kellerman, you can leave that last part out because it doesn't matter how well he does in the playoffs. He's going to win MVP based off what he does in the regular season. Once again, if Anthony Davis can play 75 or more games in the regular season, he's going to win the MVP.
Surrounded this year not with shooters, but playmakers. Rondo, Lonzo Ball, even Brandon Ingram. These guys are going to have the ball in their hand more than teams we've seen LeBron on in the recent past. AD will get more credit. He'll win the MVP.
So much to teach you. Let me start off this. When you talk about Anthony Davis in that fashion, Anthony Davis is a superstar. He's averaged 28 over the last 2 years on 50% shooting. Both years. Nobody's denying Anthony Davis's greatness. But when you talk about MVP, it's not just about your wins, unfortunately. It's not just about your productivity, unfortunately. It's also about the sizzle.
I agree with that. In other words, Stephen A. Smith is saying that it's also about box office. But the main way that Anthony Davis can solve that is that when he is on national TV, that he shows out. If he does that, like the trainer told Maximus in Gladiator, win the crowd and you'll win your freedom. If Anthony Davis can win the crowd, he'll get the MVP.
And make no mistake about it, the sizzle is in LA. LeBron James is going to win league MVP this year.
We'll see.
He is going to put on a show. And there are people that are out there looking at LeBron James and they're saying he's finally going to get exposed because there is no Kyrie. There is no
I disagree with that. Anybody who says things like that, they just don't know anything about basketball, and they have blind emotional hate for LeBron James. LeBron James has been in the NBA for 15 going on 16 seasons now. Players don't get exposed in their 16th season. He's an all-time great player. I just don't think that he's going to win MVP. I think that Anthony Davis is going to have a better year than him. Bottom line.
Oh, Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. He's on his own. That's how everybody's looking at it. And they're saying, you know what? LeBron is going to get exposed more than ever before. Well, guess what? He is 6'9", 260. He's universally recognized as the best player in the game. We know that he ain't soft now. You know, he'll be out in West. It'll be up-tempo. The system that Luke Walton implements is entirely different than what David Black did, and what Eric Spoelstra did, that Ty Lue did. Not that they never ran, but they didn't run like they're going to run in L.A. And so you've got...
I agree with that. And to me, that's going to hurt LeBron James. It's going to hurt him on defense. And what's going to happen is that many of these other teams are going to start to outscore the Lakers. It's going to cause them to possibly get blown out. And in order for them to come back, LeBron James is going to have to move the ball a lot more to get some wide open shots for his teammates. It's going to cost him in stats. Normally, when your team is out ahead or comfortably ahead, or you're accustomed to playing from ahead, it allows you to style a little bit more on offense.
I believe the Lakers going to win at least 50 games. Okay? So you got the 50 wins. You got it at the Staples Center. Where we going tomorrow? Where we
New
going?
Orleans.
No, where we going? I don't think it's New Orleans. I don't think it's New Orleans. I think we're going to L.A. That's where I think we're going. I'm sorry. The season open. Everybody here in this room. The season opens tonight. Where does the season open at? I think it's Golden State, right? The home of the
Molly Cameron over here throwing up gang signs.
The reigning two-time defending NBA champions and 3 of the last 4 with the best shooter we've ever seen in our lives, and one of the top 3 players on the planet in Kevin Durant, and 4 All-Stars. We going to Oakland. We going to Oakland. I don't think we going to Oakland. Are we?
Well, Stephen A. Smith, you have to ask yourself, looking at the facts that you've just uttered, the Golden State Warriors are the best team in the NBA, and you're not going to Oakland, you're going to L.A. So what does that tell you about this LeBron James storyline? It's purely for entertainment. It has nothing to do with winning. It has nothing to do with him carrying the NBA any longer, which he truly never did anyway. There was about a 2 or 3 year stretch where LeBron James and his team, you could say they carried the NBA, and that was during his time period with the Miami Heat. From about 2010 to about 2014, he was on the preeminent team in regards to who they wanted to broadcast in the NBA. And he wasn't on that team before that. Before that, it was Kobe and the Lakers. LeBron and his team, they were just one of the many very good teams that were part of the overall atmosphere of the NBA. And right now, he's pretty much been the same thing, despite the fact that the woke liberal sports media have tried to project him as the prime mover of the NBA. He's not. Right now, the NBA is trying to squeeze that last little bit of juice out of him. They know that he's on the other side of the mountain. They're going to make sure that they can develop as many creative storylines and narratives for him in LA as possible, so that they can have, a nice little subplot going in that LA area. They know that the best teams in the NBA are in Oakland, they're in Houston, they're in Boston, they're in Toronto. But LeBron is still relevant.
We're going to L.A. Why? Because that's the hub for this NBA season.
Not quite, sir. Not quite in regards to basketball. They're the hub in regards to being a dumpster fire, which I think that they're going to be. They're going to be the most exciting dumpster fire that maybe we've ever seen in the NBA.
And when you look at it from that perspective, I'm not telling you that LeBron James is going to do anything extra. I'm saying LeBron's going to be LeBron. The difference is he's going to be LeBron on the biggest stage. Is Jack sitting at the Oracle? Is he sitting in New Orleans? What? By the way, can you look up for me? I cover the damn NBA, and I forgot the name of the arena that the Pelicans play in. I don't even remember what the hell the name is of the arena.
The Smoothie King Center.
Okay, I know it's in the city of New Orleans. I know how to get there once I land at the airport, which is a long ride, by the way. But I don't even even remember the name.
Smoothie King Center.
The Smoothie King.
You are the
Staples
Smoothie
Center,
King.
Smoothie King.
You know.
You understand what I'm saying? All I'm trying to say to you, look, can we put it in its proper perspective? So all I'm trying to say to you is, when you're talking about from a basketball perspective, that's fine. But your guy is playing at the Smoothie King Center. Okay?
What was the Will Ferrell movie where he was the ABA player? Tropic Thunder.
There we go. That's what you're talking about.
So semi-pro. That was the best.
Yeah, semi-pro. I think the name of the team that Will Ferrell played on was the Tropics.
Smoothie King. I'm gonna watch LeBron. Jack's gonna be there. Denzel's gonna be. Hell, Kobe told me. Kobe showed up to a few games today. That's where I'm gonna be.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, all
None
of
of
that
that's in
stuff
dispute.
is what I'm talking about.
None of that's in
That is
dispute.
why. So
The sizzle will be in LA.
So with LeBron doing nothing more than he does, but the platform combined with the Lakers improvement, and the Lakers will get to the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. There's nothing to talk about here. LeBron's winning the MVP.
Okay.
He's winning the MVP.
That story and the sizzle is all true, but the fact of the matter is the ball will frequently not be in LeBron's hands. It will be in Lonzo and
It'll be in his hands when it's time to put the ball in the hole.
The ball will be in LeBron James's hands if that team starts to flounder. I believe that LeBron is trying to see if they can build some synergy within the locker room and on the court in the first 20 or so games. If after 20 games they're somewhere around 9-11 or 10-10, you're going to see him start to try to take over that whole team. And that's when you're really going to see some problems between himself and Rondo. Already, and I'm going to cover this in another video, that fight between Rajon Rondo and Chris Paul, that's going to be the first crack. That's the first fissure between Rajon Rondo and LeBron James. I promise you that.
Right, but overall his usage rate is going to go down from what it was in recent years. One,
And his efficiency will go up. Go ahead.
two. Every other season, whatever happens in the regular season, Harden's having a little better regular season, KD's having a little better regular season, but we all knew LeBron was the best player in the game.
Well, you felt like he was the best player in the game. I'll say that, yes, LeBron James, I would take him as the number one player in the NBA, but he was not having the best season. You give the MVP award to the player having the best season, not the player who you would say is the best overall player in the NBA. And the distance, the disparity between LeBron James and the next best player in the NBA is nowhere near as big as the distance between Michael Jordan and the second best player in the NBA back in the 90s. And that's when you had players like Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing and Reggie Miller and Gary Payton, Penny Hardaway and Shaq in the league back then. The distance between LeBron and KD is far slimmer than the distance was between Michael and Charles Barkley. Now, the distance between Michael and Hakeem, that was pretty close. That was pretty close, but it was still discernibly Jordan.
The game. And you say not by a lot, and I say by a lot. But this year, my prediction is, by the end of this season, there will be an acknowledgement that LeBron is no longer the best player in the game, that Anthony Davis is.
I will agree with that. My only problem with Max Kellerman's statements has always been, you can't tell me that LeBron James is light years ahead of everybody and then come back and say that Anthony Davis is going to surpass him in 1 year. That's always been my problem with his assertions about LeBron James. I do believe that LeBron is going to be passed by Anthony Davis. He may even get passed by Kevin Durant before the year is out. But it's because they're already nipping at his heels.
I wonder if people understand, because Anthony Davis has already been around for so long and has done so much, it seems
He's
like.
phenomenal.
Right?
He's phenomenal.
25 years old. Like, think about the Greek Freak. We're like, oh, this could be the year that, Antetokounmpo takes the next step. He's only a year younger than AD. 1 year younger than... AD is 5 years younger, not than LeBron, than Kevin Durant. He's 5 years younger than Kevin Durant. He's entering his prime now. There's a good chance that he is going to take another jump forward.
Well,
how much better can you be than already just about the best?
There's three
Well, the thing with AD just has to stay healthy.
ways that Anthony Davis scores. He scores in alley-oops, he scores in the open court, and he scores when you give the ball in his hands and put him in isolation situations. LeBron James scores in a myriad of ways. He's cut to the basket, he's being fed, he'll post up, he'll hold the ball, he'll run a play,
LeBron James' offensive skill set in regards to scoring is not any more diversified than Anthony Davis's. So please don't try to make that argument. If we're going to talk about him as a playmaker, yes, he's a far better playmaker than Anthony Davis. But if we're just going to talk about scoring, LeBron James basically is back you down to the basket and get an easy layup. lower his shoulder and get an easy layup or a dunk, get a dunk on a fast break, or try to get a pull-up three, or maybe a step back. And LeBron has taken great strides in diversifying his offensive game. He's very good on the left side of the basket, jump shooting. I give him that. He's not very good on the right side of the basket. But AD is proficient on the right side of the basket, top of the key, left side of the basket, jump hook, runners, face-up game, posting up. Like, AD has it.
He'll create mismatches himself because he's like a point forward, etc., etc. Not to mention that, but we also have to take into account this. You don't have Rondo any longer. You have...
I thought that was going to be an issue as well. But it's very obvious to me now that Peyton is going to be a very good replacement for Rondo. Because Peyton is like a Rajon Rondo who's not as obsessed with making sure that everybody knows how much of a genius he is. And that's always been Rondo's downfall. Rondo has to let everybody know that I'm a genius.
Have Drew Holiday with Anthony Davis. They let Rondo walk away. LeBron has Rondo now. You got Julius Randle. I'm sorry. And I like Julius Randle. I wish the Lakers had kept him.
Julius Randle is going to be a great third forward for them. It's going to be a great third forward for them.
Please don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying to you is that the New Orleans Pelicans have somewhat compromised themselves to a degree, and I don't think the Lakers have done that. Listen.
We agree about the compromise, but that just means Anthony Davis needs to get fed more.
And
he's going to have to do more.
And I'm telling you, in the process of having to do more, his numbers will probably be the same, devoid of the sizzle, and the combination of those two realities will make sure that he doesn't win.
Here's the thing about AD. As his usage rate goes up, his
and New Orleans is not going to be that good.
His efficiency doesn't change. If Anthony
I
Davis
just said his numbers won't change.
But what I'm saying,
won't change.
The underlying numbers, the actual counting numbers, may go up just as efficiently as in the past.
Absolutely. I like a lot of the points that Max Kellerman is making here. Let me rewind this back for a moment.
By the way,
listen.
We agree about the compromise, but that just means Anthony Davis needs to get fed more.
And
he's going to have to do more.
And I'm telling you, in the process of having to do more, his numbers will probably be the same, devoid of the sizzle and the
No, sir. You're going to see Anthony Davis's numbers go up. I think that he's going to average 30 points a game this season.
Combination of those two realities will make sure that he doesn't win.
Here's the thing about AD. As his usage rate goes up, his
and New Orleans is not going to be that good.
His efficiency...
I disagree with that as well. I think that New Orleans will be good this year. After what I've seen, I think that they're going to win 50 games.
He doesn't change. If Anthony Davis
said his numbers won't change.
But what I'm saying, won't change. The underlying numbers, the actual counting numbers, may go up just as efficiently as in the past. By the way, the arguments you make against AD, did you make those arguments? Did people make those arguments against Shaq or Kareem or any big who needed to get fed the ball? AD.
I agree. Great point, sir. I mean, I have a hard time with some of the things that Stephen A. Smith is saying. He seems to think that just because Anthony Davis is a center that he can't get an MVP because his game is not going to be as pleasant to the eye as many of the wings that are currently dominating the MVP. Let me say this. Anthony Davis brings just about everything to the table. And once again, like Proximo told Maximus in the film Gladiator, you win the crowd and you'll win your freedom. If Anthony Davis makes sure that he shows out when he's on television, when he plays the Lakers, when he plays the Rockets, when he plays the Raptors, the Celtics, the Golden State Warriors, they're not going to have an option but to give him what's his.
If he averages 30, 32 points a game and leads the league in PER and has 10 to 12 rebounds, at a certain point you just got to give it up.
Absolutely.
What was Shaq winning in Orlando?
Well,
and they call that the love Shaq.
Well, yeah,
and he still didn't get
Michael Jordan was in the league.
Absolutely. Michael Jordan was in the league in Shaq's last year in Orlando. Michael Jordan won the MVP, Stephen A. Smith. Michael Jordan shot 50% from the field. He averaged 30 points a game, and the Bulls won 72 games. Who the hell is going to win the MVP in a year like that?
He still ain't get it. But when he got to L.A., it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. Ain't nobody. I ain't gonna say. Listen, Devin, I'm gonna say it like, and I love my smoothies. You understand what I'm saying? I love my smoothies, but ain't no damn body playing at the Smoothie King Center with MVP. It's just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. I'm just trying to tell y'all. I'm just. Listen, I love my smoothies. And Smoothie King, the bomb. But ain't nobody winning an MVP playing at the Smoothie King Center.
I don't even know. They named it after. Everyone thinks it's a sponsorship. It's actually named after a schoolyard legend, Smoothie King.
Anthony Davis is going to average 28, 29 a game. He's going to win his share games. He's going to be phenomenal like he always is. They'll even make the playoffs. Might go to the second round for all we know. I'm telling you right now, they ain't going to be better than they were last year,
Well,
but the Lakers will be.
the
I'm with
best-
you.
Because of
the best
LeBron.
argument-
And LeBron going to win it.
the
Last
best
year, he
argument-
hasn't won.
I think that Stephen A. Smith is speaking with his heart as opposed to his brain. But we'll see. It's a long season.
Hasn't won it the last 3
Right,
years.
that's
either.
the best argument for LeBron. It's like, all right, fine. We faked the funk and passed around your MVP to guys who weren't as good as you. This year, we'll give it to you. It's possible he gets.
No, sir. And that's an attempt to diminish the other players in the NBA once again. Oh, we gave the award to guys who were not as good as you. All those guys had a far better season than LeBron James did when they won it. They all deserve to win the award. There's not one season since 2013 where LeBron James deserved to be the MVP of the NBA. Not one.
Gets a makeup MVP. AD will deserve it.
Smoothie King Center.
All
Ain't gonna
right.
happen.
All
Ain't
the
gonna happen.
action isn't in LA. It's in New York.
It's not gonna
We've got
happen.
more.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see who ends up winning the MVP award. I have it being Anthony Davis. Watch out for Steph Curry as a dark horse. Also strong consideration to Joel Embiid potentially. We'll see. So peace.